like to call to order the Groveland Township regular board meeting for October the 10th, or excuse me, 15th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and please be seated. Laura, would you take roll call?
Robert Palma.
I'm here.
Teresa Bills.
Here.
Jim Christopher.
Here.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Here.
Okay. Next is the approval of the agenda. You should have a copy of today's agenda. It looked okay to me. Are there any questions or comments from the board on the agenda? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this one says October 10th. That's why I was looking at the wrong place.
Yeah, well, it should say October 15th, so.
Yeah, that's why I looked down on the wrong spot on it.
Right, let's change number 4 to approve
15th.
October 15th, 2024 agenda.
Right,
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda for October 15th
as submitted.
as submitted.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Gina, okay, any questions or comments from the board? Jim, you okay with it?
No, good.
Okay, and then, excuse me, in that case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, okay, it's approved. Now we have to approve the September 9th minutes for the Township Board and the Fire Board meeting. Anybody have any questions or comments on those?
No, I will make a motion that we accept the September 9th regular board meeting and Township Fire Board meetings as presented.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second
Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, they're approved. And then we have a special board meeting for October the 12th. You should have a copy of those minutes. That was a pretty short, quick meeting. We had some business to take care of.
September the 12th.
So, did I say October?
Yeah.
September the 12th. By the time we're done, it'll be January the 13th for the next one. That's September the 12th. Thank you, Teresa. Any questions or comments on those? They looked in order to me.
I will make a motion that we accept the Groveland Township Special Board meeting minutes of September 12th, 2024. Do I have to say as amended or as presented today? Because the ones we were emailed are not what we have here.
It could be as submitted today.
As submitted today, okay.
I'll second that.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, they're approved. And now we move to the financials. Budget.
October 1st.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Yeah, October 1st, okay. October 1st, special meeting. What was this? Oh, this is for the inspector and stuff. We can do that. Yep,
The MSP plan.
yep, and the MSP contract, right, okay. Any questions or comments on that one?
I'll make a motion that we approve the special meeting minutes of October 1st as submitted.
Is there a second?
it. I'll second
Okay, by Jim, any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, okay, now we're done with all the minutes. Moving on to financials, the first thing is budget amendments. Are there any that we have to discuss?
She didn't have any of the
Okay.
financials.
Janelle's excused for today, okay. Accounts payable.
So accounts payable, I do wanna point out, let's see. It's just something piddly, but there's on the fire accounts payable, you'll see that something, looks like it's journaled out of general account. That was just a, fat finger error.
Okay.
Okay, it was for Rico for $91.89. It actually was a fire bill, but it just got printed, it just got journaled in the general, but it's fixed, so next time around it'll be in the right spot. Yeah, so that, you might notice, there's a 101 on the 206 thing. That's supposed to be a 206, and it will be, because it is fixed, but Yep, the totals are correct.
Okay.
Can we make a motion for approving our accounts payable?
Any other questions on accounts payable, anybody? All right, I'll make a motion that we, accept and approve the accounts payable as submitted.
I'll second that.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, since it's a lot of money. Laura, if you could take a roll call.
Yep. Robert DiPalma.
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
Jim Christopher.
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli.
Yes.
Okay, now the next item is the financial report for general fire building. Kind of know where that, this part's yours really, Teresa, if you want.
Yeah, so we'll go to the investment report.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the most recent investment report as of September 30th, and I just want to point out that, the fire common checking, on October 3rd, 3 payrolls were reimbursed to Township, so it's approximately $120,000 for 3 payrolls that, really, you know, because we didn't move it until October 3rd,
It still shows up.
it's still showing up in there as 171,000, but it really is more like 51,000.
Mhm.
So that's just FYI, but that is, all the payrolls through October 2nd's payroll,
Okay.
okay? And then, as far as the ARPA line goes in there, and since we have our auditor here tonight, I was gonna leave this ARPA line, even though there's nothing in it, until the end of the fiscal year, in which I will then just delete the row, right? Okay,
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
and that's pretty much it.
Okay. There are no further questions on the investment report. Looks great. It does every month.
Thank you.
Okay, now we move to the fun stuff. Presentations. And today with us is Ken Felker, our auditor for many years. He's gone over the report with us, and he's gonna do a presentation
Good
today on
evening,
where we stand
everybody.
financially.
Thanks, Bob. Just want to say we appreciate the opportunity to again be before the board to present your audit. It's been a good relationship with Groveland Township. You folks do a great job. I call it a well-running machine back here, taking care of your finances. Appreciate all the help that we received, especially from Teresa and Janelle and Bob, the officials, and of course all of your staff. Once again, I have got good news for the board, as we talked about the other day.
This is why we let you come.
Well, you guys do a great job. Financially, if we could just take a look at some of your main pages on the financial report. First one I'd like to go to is page 21, and this is a recap of the township's revenues and expenditures for your fiscal year. And it lays out all the funds of the township. Your general fund, as you know, is combined with your infrastructure fund. So you can see in that very first column there, under the general, you had over 1.9 million in revenues come in. Your operating expenditures were just over 1.3 million, giving you an annual operating surplus of $615,034. And then we have this item called other financing sources and uses, and this is where things like the sale of the property that you had several years ago, and you still had that money coming in under your land contracts. That total was just over 28,000. So you add that to your surplus. So for the whole year, you had $643,098 come into your general and infrastructure funds. You add that to your beginning fund balance of almost 6.4 million, and this is the first time you've topped 7 million in your total fund balance. So
I
you've
can
got-
hear Frank Sinatra singing. It was a very good year.
But the good thing is for your residents, you've got the money set aside for the significant projects that you're looking at down the road here.
The balance of the new fire station and stuff.
Correct. Your fire fund also had a good year. You see your total revenues were over 1.4 million. Operating expenditures were 1.2 million. You had a transfer in from your general operating fund of just over 10 or just under 11,000, giving you an overall surplus in your fire department of $184,772. So by the end of the year, you were just over 1.9 million in your fire department. Okay.
Okay.
Your building department, same thing. You had a nice surplus of just under 59,000 there. Your beginning fund balance started with just about $1 million, and you finished with just over 1,063,000 in there. And then your ARPA fund at the end of your fiscal year, you had a total fund balance of just over $52,000 in there. And from what we discussed, you have spent all of the remaining ARPA monies in there as of today. So, good job.
We don't wanna keep on doing reports on it ad infinitum with the emails
And
we get.
you don't have to keep reporting to the feds now and what you're gonna do with it. It's been spent. So that's
Someone a
good.
picture of the ambulances if they ask.
Yeah.
So overall, guys, your total surplus was just over $934,000 for the township. And your total fund balance at the end of the year was just over $10 million.
I know that I think in our discussion, I jotted down on my notes for the 900, phenomenal. Right?
It's a good year to go out in.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, interest rates were high.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
helped tremendously. A lot
Interest
of-
rates were high, and we had, some ARPA money that came in, it helped with stuff, so we have, just a lot of things fell into place this year, which is why the amount of money we put away is much larger than what we've done in some other years.
Yeah, yeah, but the good thing again is you've got that money there for your projects and you don't have to borrow. So as far as your, the other thing I wanted to just touch base on your legacy costs, your pension and your OPEB, if you would flip over to page 35 in your footnotes. And for your pension, you can see those 3 columns there to the right of the page. You started the year with a $606,030 asset, if you will. In other words, you guys are overfunded on your pension, your DB plan, which is phenomenal because not too many municipalities can say that. Most municipalities are way underfunded. By the end of this year, you were overfunded by almost $712,000. So you keep moving in the right direction. That's good to see. The state is actually requiring all municipalities to report separately on this. And they're having lots of talks with the municipalities that are way short.
And that's what started that whole thing with those, accounting rules, the Gatsby rules, where they had 30 years to get caught up if they weren't, but some of them were so far behind.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've got some townships that are struggling to make their payments, you know, to make sure that their retirees get their money. So you guys are in very good shape.
And you helped us understand the decision a couple years ago to fund at that point. And that coupled with the interest, I think was a good move.
It's just always better to be ahead of the game if you can.
Yeah, so that's good news, and then your OPEB plan, your other post-employment benefits, that's on page 44. And this thing, same thing, for long-term legacy liability that you have out there, you're overfunded by $423,425 by the end of your fiscal year. So again, they have both legacy costs overfunded like that. That's good news. Is there any questions or anything that?
No, I think part of what happened too is frankly the results on the market have been kind of phenomenal this year. You know, they
It
were
was
kind
a
of
good year.
flat at the beginning of the year, but since about July, they've been going great guns, so it makes the money that's sitting in there even better than it would be, because MERS, for those who don't understand it, does our pension and our OPEB charges, smooths all that stuff out, so that if you're up 20% in the market one year, you aren't 180% over, and then if you're down 30% the next year, you're 70% of attainment, so they smooth that stuff out to make it appear more averaged. Still, the results are in there, but they're blended over a number of years to make it easier. This is just an easier way for us to keep it correct.
The thing to point out about is in the prior year, when the market was way down,
We're still good.
Groveland was still overfunded.
Yes.
Because you guys made those extra contributions.
Mhm.
So, it's all good news.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you had anything bad to say that day. I felt pretty good when I left.
No comments or anything as far as, out of the ordinary?
No, I know that some of the numbers are bigger this, like I said, we have that special deal with Levy right now for our gravel for a total of about 8 years, and we're roughly halfway through it, so that helps us probably $100,000 or so a year, getting that. And then the ARPA money helped, cause that helped us get a couple of ambulances for the fire department. One came out of the township reserves and one came out of the ARPA money, so, if you get a shot like that, it helps a lot. It's just, it all kind of fell into place perfect this year and made it better. It's always been good, I think, in the time I can recall, but, sometimes typical surpluses for us might be 150 to 250,000 a year. To hit the numbers we hit this year, it just had to be the, kind of the moon and the stars were all in the right place for it.
Well, and when interest rates do come back down again, which
Yeah,
they
that'll
will
affect it.
eventually,
Hopefully not as low as they were.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And those are the rates you get in your checking account when you look and they say, here's your 17 cents this month, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ken.
All right,
Thank
thank you guys. Have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? No? Okay,
All set, John?
thank you, Ken.
Thanks,
Good night,
Ken.
everybody.
You have a good
You're
night.
awesome.
Watch for the deer, they've been running around a lot on the roads
Yes,
lately
they
out here.
have.
Okay, next we have a special presentation. We were offered to have a presentation on mental health from the county, and if I can, turn it over to you two ladies.
Would love to. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna set up on this
Sure.
TV real quick.
Absolutely.
We'll move through really quickly, give you guys a quick general overview.
This, unlike almost everything we've seen on Our Lady, won't be another best demonstration.
The remote's right there.
So it says I should be connected.
So the remote for the TV's right there.
Beautiful, thank y'all.
We're gonna see a Netflix movie.
Hopefully I can be that interesting. Let's see here if it'll work. Here we go. Oh, knock on wood. Changing source to PC, okay. Lovely, here we go. All right. Thank y'all for having us. My name is Adele Gardnick. I am a school mental health navigator through Oakland Community Health Network, and we're the community mental health provider for Oakland County. So I'm just gonna tell you a little bit today about our services and how we might be of service to you and the rest of the community. So a little bit about us. We service people with serious mental illness. Basically that means adults with mental health needs. Serious emotional disturbances, which is our youth with mental health needs, intellectual or developmental disabilities, infant mental health, and substance use disorders. We service people of all ages. We primarily service people with Medicaid, but we do also offer services to people with private insurance. We have different kinds of waiver programs. We also help with reimbursement for services, as well as just connecting to general community resources. So our mission statement is that we want to inspire hope, empower people, and strengthen communities. We serve a lot heck of people. So if we don't serve you, we probably serve somebody you know. So where can you receive our services? So to get set up with services, you would go through our access department. I'm a member of our access department. And you can go in person. We're located down at 1200 North Telegraph, right by all the other county buildings. We're in building 32E, which is the Resource and Crisis Center. If you would like walk-in services, that's Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. But we do recommend easiest way to access services is over the phone. That is our phone number. I'm also gonna lay out some brochures for y'all to take home too. Has all of our contact information as well as a general outline of our services. We're available by phone Monday through Friday, 8 to 8. We are looking to expand those hours over the weekend and a little bit later. We're just trying to look for staffing for that right now. I will note though, that the process is a little bit different if you're looking to enroll somebody in intellectual developmental disability services. So we'd recommend that you would call in for that rather than come in person, just because there are some documents we need before we can get you set up with services. And I'm gonna turn it over to my lovely colleague, Christina, and she's gonna tell you more about our specific program.
Hello, I'm Christina Tops. I work with Adele. I am the School Navigator Resource Specialist, so whenever someone reaches out for services, I'm usually the first person they'll contact. The School Navigator program has been going on for about 3 years now, and our objective is to help students receive mental health services and connect to agencies that provide mental health services. So if you have any students you know who possibly need to reach out for mental health, this would be a great first step for them to contact one of us, and then we can kind of decide how to best help them. We help people who have Medicaid, we help people who have no insurance at all, and we help people who have private insurance. So it just depends on what type of benefit they have, how we could best help them.
You can provide help to somebody that has their own private insurance?
Yes, we can. If someone has private insurance, we can help connect them to those services, depending upon what type of insurance they have. They would let us know. They'll call and say, my son needs mental health services, I have Blue Cross, how can you help me?
Okay.
So we would locate the Blue Cross providers that would provide services. So it all really depends on what type of service they have. If they have Medicaid, we are actually able to do a screening over the phone and connect them directly to an agency. That's the difference between having Medicaid and having private insurance. If you have private insurance, the onus is more on you to reach out for those services with our resources. If you have Medicaid, we actually are able to directly connect you to an agency. CLS, CNS, Easter Seals, Morgue, those types of agencies, those are the agencies that we can do a phone screening, usually about an hour and a half, and connect you directly to one of those agencies so that your child can start receiving those services right away. If you need to reach out to us, the phone number is 248-462-6294. Email schoolnavigator@opchn.org. I am the one who answers the phone calls, and I am the one who answers the emails. So if you do reach out, you will connect with me, and I will get you connected to the right person, kind of what your need is. We also have a funding assistance now. This is something started 2022. There's an let's see, there are two different. One is Oxford, one is Oakland County. Any students who are receiving mental health services and their parents are paying out of pocket, we are able to reimburse those funds up to $4,000 per family. So if you are receiving any type of services that are coming out of pocket, that's something that we can pay, whether it's an insurance copay that you have, or if you don't have insurance and you find you're paying the entire bill, that's something that we can help with. The only thing is you do have to live in Oakland County and go to school in Oakland County. So a student would have to show a report card, a letter from the school just verifying that they are an Oakland County student, and if they're an Oakland County student receiving mental health services, we can help pay those funds. If it's an Oxford fund, the Oxford fund is a little more expansive. The Oxford fund will cover anyone who was affected by the Oxford tragedy, whether that's a teacher, a student, a family member, anyone who was directly affected. They are also eligible to receive services that we will reimburse if they pay out of pocket for those services. With the Oakland County Fund, it's students only. With the Oxford Fund, it's anyone who was affected by that tragedy. And applying, we will put a flyer here for you. There's a little QR code that you can scan that will take you directly to the application, and you can just easily upload any information that we need. And then once I get that, I'll contact you if there's anything I need and submit it. And then it's usually about 8 to 10 weeks between the time you apply and the time that you receive your check.
So just a couple more services that we offer through OCHN. We have our Youth and Family Care Connection Center, the YFCC. We've heard from families in the community that they've been a little bit hesitant to want to bring their youth who's in crisis into an emergency room, not only because it might be further triggering for them, but there's also potentially adults who are in crisis and they're and it's just kind of a messy situation, so that's what led us to create the YFCC. So this is a youth-only crisis center that is 365, 24/7. You can bring your youth who's in crisis to this center. They will help triage and provide crisis services and de-escalate. So if they do need to be triaged to a higher level of care, like inpatient, we do have a couple of beds at the YFCC that we're able to house youth in until we find them inpatient placement. This is also located at our 1200 North Telegraph location in Building 32E. It is a separate entrance from the front entrance, so it's a youth-only entrance. So the youth aren't waiting with like our adult services, which are upstairs, they're waiting downstairs in a different entrance. It's completely separate. If you do have any questions, you can call that number, but it's also gonna be in our brochure that I put out here as well.
Is the only crisis you're dealing with drug abuse, or?
No, this is any kind of mental health crisis. So if somebody is having suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation, so dysregulated that they can't get themselves emotionally in check, any type of those situations where the youth might be at harm to themselves or others is a great opportunity to bring them in for these services.
I'm just curious, don't the high schools have counselors that are sometimes first stop for those kids?
That might be the case, that is
Do they
true.
go to you, or?
If
is it
a
completely
youth is
separate?
in crisis, it might not be during the hours in which the school counselor's working.
Oh,
School
okay.
counselors aren't always available 24/7, and God bless them, they do a ton of hard work, but they do need to draw lines and they can't be available all the time, especially in the summertime. So this is something that we provide to families in case that their youth is so dysregulated they don't know what to do. It's an easy one-stop shop. So they'll do the de-escalation, they'll screen to see if they need to be triaged for a higher level of care, including partial hospitalization, which is really common with our youth. They try to prevent doing inpatient unless they really have to. But it's more so kind of like, we're really escalated, we need help right now type situations are good to bring there. Or maybe we have sometimes schools will have a youth who may be demonstrating homicidal or suicidal ideation and they're not cleared to go back to school until they have mental health testing done. This would be a good place to send families to if they need to have that done. We have mental health staff who can do all of those kinds of
So I'm
screenings.
just kind of curious, thinking back to the tragedy that happened in Oxford, where a lot of what was said seemed like, well, we couldn't do anything under the rules we had. If somebody saw those kinds of same problems, if they couldn't get it from the school, couldn't they go to your group and try to get help?
Absolutely, it's all like community based. The community is able to use those opportunities anytime they want. It doesn't need to be a
So
referral.
that kind of takes the wind out of the sails when the school system says, well, I can't do anything because the rules I have to comply with. You're another resource they can use.
Absolutely, and we do partner strongly with schools for that whole reason. That's the whole purpose of our School Mental Health Navigator program, is to help bridge those gaps for students and to help encourage the schools to collaborate more closely with community resources. And we're finding that once we get buy-in from the school districts, they have nothing but amazing things to say about us.
No, and I think that's great. I was just curious, because I think when we hear about these incidents, we always hear about someone in the school system, wherever it is, saying, well, we're limited to what we can do. And yeah, we were worried, but not worried enough that we thought we could do anything. And really, they've got another resource they can use.
They do.
That doesn't have necessarily the same set of restrictions that they do in the school system.
Right, and a lot of
It's an
times,
important differentiation, I think.
yes, a lot of times they do reach out to us at the very beginning. We don't want it to escalate to a point where they're
Yeah.
bringing a weapon to school.
Yeah, right. That's
So
I'm
what they're
getting at,
doing
yeah.
now is if they're even noticing there are behaviors or talk or whisperings or anything, they'll just call us and say, I have a student, this is mom's name, this is phone number and email, contact them. So this way they don't
Oh, so
have to
they-
give us any
They
information.
ask you to contact them.
They do.
Oh.
They will reach out to me. A lot of times I'll get emails or phone calls from school counselors, therapists in the school, and they will say, we have a student who may need your services.
So the
This is
important
mom's name,
distinction-
this is student's name.
Not crisis services. We do not do crisis for School Mental Health Navigator. So if the student is in crisis, we want them to go here.
Yes,
But if the student is predisposed to potentially get into crisis, or just looking for mental health in general,
Uh-huh.
that's when it's good time to call our team.
us before.
Well,
it
but I
gets
mean,
to
a lot of
that
them you
point.
hear about, you see some of the drawings the kids have made and stuff where it's like,
We get a lot of
this
those
kid's got some
calls.
problems,
Yeah, and we've been working with a lot of
and they
families
say,
on
well, we
that.
can't do anything about it, and really, they can.
Absolutely, and we found too, the reimbursement has been so important for the community because a lot of parents have expressed, especially the point of the reimbursement came through, we received a grant after the pandemic because of the uptick in students who needed mental health services. Parents expressed financial barriers were a concern. So we got this grant in order to pay for those barriers to be gone. And so families are now being like, wow, I can go to a trauma-informed specialist that my insurance doesn't cover and know that I'm still gonna get money at the end of the day and pay my own bills.
Yeah, no, that's
So
great.
we're
I didn't
really
realize
trying to
that.
push the reimbursement as much as possible. We're sitting on a lot of money, we want people to come take our money.
And you do this, with the schools, various school systems in the county? Okay.
Yep. So we go every month to Oakland schools and we collaborate very closely with Oakland schools. We have been to every single school throughout all the school districts in Oakland County since the program's been alive, trying to get the word out. We've found that it's most fruitful when it's coming from schools rather than the community. We really tried to reach out to community members to tell families that we're available to you, don't need to wait for the school to call us, but we typically tend to get the most referrals from the school.
How long has this program been going?
We're on our 3rd academic year this year,
Oh,
so about 3 years-ish.
Okay.
Do you work closely with like the youth assistants, caseworkers, and you know, the family courts?
Yep, so we have a juvenile justice department that typically collaborates a little bit closer with the youth assistance programs, but we also do collaborate with them as well. We get referrals from youth assistants quite frequently, basically being like, I'm trying to get this family in mental health services and I'm having barriers, what can you do to help us? And that's something that we commonly collaborate with youth assistants on.
The other question I had was, is there like a time limit on the whole Oxford tragedy?
Nope.
So-
Until the money runs out, we'll keep giving it out. It just has to be from when the Oxford tragedy happened until then. So even if, you maybe had a high school senior at the time of the Oxford tragedy and maybe they're in college now, we can still reimburse for their services because we can tie them back to when the tragedy happened. School staff is like another one too, even like janitors, family members of janitors, anything like that. If you've been affected by the Oxford tragedy, there should be funding available to you. So Youth Crisis Center, that is our in-person service. We do also offer a mobile youth crisis service. So this is another grant-based program, and this is where I will say, if you are able to bring the youth in person, that is probably gonna be the best services that you're gonna get, because as a grant program, sometimes if there's high call volumes, you might be waiting for a little bit. So if you are able to get your youth out in person, it's probably gonna be the quickest service, but if not, we do have our youth mobile crisis team. I'll also note that the in-person youth services only go up to age 17, but our youth mobile crisis can go up to 21 years of age, and they can be in crisis anywhere in Oakland County, and we can come out to assist. They can be at a home, they could be out at a park, they could be on the side of the street. All we know is that they need help and we're gonna come help them.
I have 2 questions. Why
course.
is it stopped at 17? A lot of high school kids are 18, right?
That's just for safety reasons. So to house an adult with a youth causes a lot of safety concerns.
Oh.
And so that's why they draw the line at 17 for that. But mobile services, that's just focused on the individual. So they're okay to expand that service up to 21.
Out of curiosity, is there a program like this that's comparable in Genesee County?
That breaks my heart when I get those questions. We are really trying to network with our surrounding counties, but unfortunately we haven't heard of similar programs in any other counties in the area, including.
We have a few people that go to Genesee from here.
Absolutely, and I know y'all are in a very particular area where you're kind of the north end and there's some people along the border. And so we're more than willing to help connect them to Genesee County's community mental health, but unfortunately is very kind of county restricted. And so
Don't
we
have
would,
this kind of program.
not that we're aware of at this time, no, unfortunately. They do have youth crisis services, but I can't necessarily say that they have a mobile department. I can't necessarily say that they have a separate complete crisis screening department for their youth from adults. I can't speak on that, but I can at least say we are not aware of a school mental health navigator program that they're running, and we are not aware of a reimbursement program that they are running.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. And so that is the number you will call. It's also in the brochures that we'll be leaving up here. I will also note it's only 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. that the service is offered. It is not 365, 24/7 like the in-person services are offered. We also offer adult crisis services. These I might not be as knowledgeable about as our youth services, but we basically do an in-person crisis service. We also do a mobile crisis service for our adults as well. That's our Oakland County Intervention and Recovery Team. I believe that is our mobile team. If you have not heard, all crisis for adults are going through 988. So rather than calling specifically to Common Ground, you're gonna wanna call 988, and 988 will triage you to the appropriate surrounding mental health. So if you're in Genesee County, they'll triage you to Genesee County people. If you're in Oakland County, they'll triage you to us at Common
Is
Ground.
988 like a 911 number?
Yep.
It's the whole number?
Yep, so that's the suicide prevention hotline. I believe it was last year. They condensed down, so now it's all a nationwide number that you can call or text into.
Oh, okay.
So anybody who's in crisis, 988 is a really great thing to have. It's a mental health 911. And they also offer victims assistance through Common Ground. We do have a residential unit there as well, so if somebody's waiting for beds, we have beds there for them. And we also have a sober support unit, so if somebody's trying to go through detox or looking for sober support, we can help them with that as well. And then we also have our Veteran Navigator program. So similar to what Christina and I do for students in schools, we also have a program for our veterans. So Shaka and Isaac are our Veteran Navigator and peer support. And they're currently actually like running a peer support group right now with veterans, where just kind of like, it's not necessarily mental health focused, but just a group of people who are all veterans who can come together and talk about reintegrating into the community. But they'll basically help you navigate all of the systems that might be barriers for you as a veteran. So they offer support groups, transportation assistance, assistance with navigating the VA, helping with those applications, employment assistance, housing assistance, substance use support, any kind of that jazz. They're really great resources for. Their contact information is going to be in the brochures as well. Well, thank you. And finally, we have our RISE Center, which stands for Recovery Information Support and Education. This is basically our free community case management service that we offer. So you can call into that phone number right there, that 248-464-6055 number, and you will get our lovely Barbara. She will turn over every rock in order to help find you services. She is absolutely fabulous. So if you need assistance with employment, housing, food pantries, medical pantries, assistance applying with Medicaid, assistance with getting connected to Social Security, she can help with all those different kinds of things. And it is no cost to the individual. The individual does not need to have Medicaid, any insurance, private insurance, doesn't matter, doesn't go through any kind of insurance. It's just a free community service that we offer to help get the community connected to resources. So you can call her. She works Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And that's basically most of the services we offer. So thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, comments, I am here.
Very interesting.
Thanks, y'all, much appreciated. I will leave some brochures here, and then I will also leave a couple of ones of my cards. It'll have my personal cell phone on there, as well as my email. If you have any questions, reach out.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Okay, well, next item on the agenda is public hearings. We don't have any tonight, or unfinished business, so we don't have any of that tonight. So we'll move right into new business. First item on there is called the CBIZ report. That's the, Ken made some reference to it. CBIZ is actually the people that do our pension and OPEB evaluations every year. The state law requires us every year on some, and every 2 years, I think, on the other ones, to do an evaluation to make sure that they're funded, because they don't want to get stuck with it or have people not end up getting what they're supposed to get. So, as Ken had mentioned to you, we have our studies here. You're welcome to look at them, but they're both overfunded and in excellent shape. So, our pension is good, and our retirement health stuff, and that's good as well.
I just had one question. So where it talks about membership, it says there's 11 active members. 1 of them is inactive, 7 are beneficiaries. 1 and 7 are 8. Where's the other 3? How's that? They don't equal, so I'm not following that.
Well, that's a good question. I'm not
Well,
sure. I
maybe-
know.
you're not in the same pot, like maybe that's 19 people instead of 11, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I think
It
that's,
I'm
does.
not sure.
All right,
but-
yeah, but yeah, just curious, cause I'm, again, not adding up, but yet they have a dollar figure at the bottom, so.
yeah, they take the benefits that are in our handbook for those job titles, and that's how they calculate the number, and then they, it's pretty straightforward. This CBiz is actually the only company I know of that actually does this, has some special program to crank it up. I could be wrong, but it seems to me, if memory serves me right, it's about $6,000 to get the study done, but you don't have any option on it, so.
Right.
They're the only
Requirement.
game in
Oh,
town.
no, I'm not complaining, I'm just trying to better understand that section, so.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is chairs and tables for the boardroom. Who wanted this?
That would be me.
Okay. You're on a roll, Laura.
I am on a roll. Okay, so behind you is the gray chair that we had ordered that you guys all had to test out over the last board meeting. It seemed like everyone liked the chair, but those are the ones that we were trying to go for. Also in the packet, if you noticed, we're trying to do a little bit of revamp because of our tables, which we've had talked about
Yeah,
before.
that's right.
Yeah, and we did find these tables that were very nice, that we were trying to order 4 of them.
Talking about this one? or
Yep,
the-
because
or
they
this
could
one?
be,
This one
Like
here.
the ones that are
This
foldable?
one here.
the ones that
which
are,
is
This one.
on that.
it's actually,
Oh,
there
conference.
are other ones, and there's 2 different types in there, but we were trying to do something where they could be pushed together for a bigger conference or separated if needed be.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
then-
I recall we discussed that. I like those better as well.
Yeah, and then obviously replacing the blue chairs with more a simpler chair, but still rolling.
Your blue chair's not these, right?
No, these are gonna stay. We're trying to go with the gray because we're trying to keep those chairs, and yeah, we figured that would be better than bringing in another color.
So do we have a price then put together for the tables and the chairs?
Yeah, right now it's $1,895.96.
And that is for.
That is
tables
for
and
Yep, and
chairs.
8 chairs.
And that's less than we put in our budget line item.
Right, and then we
Five.
also have to order 6 of the chairs that are behind you. But that was from,
Right.
yeah, yep. So these chairs right here will get replaced as well as those. It's just 2 different styles of chairs. We wanted to keep the board chairs with the higher back.
So I'm asking, are we
We're
ready to
still-
order? Okay, so let me make a motion, go rock and roll on it.
All right, I'll make a motion that we purchase 4 Tribe Design 6-foot conference tables and the chairs that we've already all sat in and approved, even if I can't touch the ground.
Neither can I. I think both of us
For
can't.
your chair.
And then the home office chairs with the ribbed modern leather conference. Oh boy.
Okay, is that your motion? Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Are there any other questions or comments from the board?
And 6.
If not, Laura, would you take a roll call on it?
Yes. Teresa Bills,
Yes.
Gino Zarelli,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes,
Robert DePalma.
Yes. Okay, next item is our roof on this building needs to be replaced. I don't know if everybody's noticed it, but a bunch of the shingles up on the ridge are starting to come undone and the skylight's leaking again over here. So we did get 3 prices on the re-roofing and redoing the skylights so they don't leak. And the least expensive of the 3, they were all fairly close within a couple of grand. The least expensive one I had it here somewhere is, I think it's 24. Somebody have that?
But the least expensive doesn't have all of the things on it that the other 2 do.
Oh,
They're not apples to apples.
Okay. I asked them specifically if you
Right,
included
yeah.
the skylights, the skylights, and you did. And, here, what do we got? One for, there they are.
There's no skylights and
Yeah, I don't see
there's no
skylights.
skylights
said that was included.
Well, they're not there.
Comfortable, Justin. Jason. So we have three, what would you like to do?
Well, I did have a question regarding, on one of the quotes, and then this is always our dilemma, so I'm grateful to see that someone is here to answer the question. On the other quotes, it says that they will repair any rotten wood. And on the Arnold Roofing quote, I see that it says sheets of plywood, but it doesn't specifically talk about repairing rotted wood. Can you clarify that?
Yeah, that's just roof replacement for a sheet of plywood.
Okay, so, go ahead.
What other?
Yeah.
What other damaged wood would they be referencing?
Right.
Pretty much just the roof rack.
That's pretty common too, if you get on there and you find that the
Okay.
sheets are.
So that is just different verbiage for that particular?
Yeah, it's just one,
Okay,
yeah, per
Okay.
sheet.
alright.
Yeah, I didn't see, I mean, looking at this, I don't see skylights, on either of the other two. I don't.
No, they're not.
Whereas it does say skylight replace 4 new Velux,
Relics, right.
1450 each, adding the subtotal of something or another.
Mhm.
What is the difference between Landmark Certainty shingles and Rootman that's owns Corning Duration Driftwood?
Just different manufacturer.
Still,
Still 30-year shingle or
30
40-year?
Yeah, they're all lifetime defect warranties.
My personal experience is the Certainty tend to be the top line ones that I think, that's what I had done on my roof. Somebody had done those roofs for about 40 years.
Well,
is there a difference between Owens Corning?
Yeah, the duration shingle has a cloth nail line in it, so it's a much stronger shingle against wind.
Well, I'm inclined to go with the most complete quote, because you asked for skylights, and there's one quote that has that, and there's a definitive price included in that, whereas the other two do not have that. And one of the other two is, within $1,000 of the same price, so, my motion would be to award it to Arnold Roofing, based on the information that we have.
Okay, well, that's your motion?
That would be my motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board?
I like that they're actually, residing
In
right in
Groveland Township, yeah.
as well,
Okay,
which is always a plus when you can do that. I'm not sure about this third one, but
okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions?
well, I just will say, remember, we went with the lowest bid on the building washing.
Yeah, that didn't turn out so
work
good.
out so good.
We never did pay for it though. did we?
Well, and we went with an incomplete bid for the parking lot and got a surprise
And that
as
was
well.
the most,
So
the
that-
largest, most reputable company you
Right,
get.
exactly,
And so we said we wouldn't pay for
exactly,
that either, they didn't fix it.
Right.
I agree.
So, and this actually is the middle quote,
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, I think that's, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay,
So
I'm just
that's
asking
what
any
we
questions,
second.
we have a motion and a second. No, any other comments?
No.
Okay, if you take a roll call vote then?
Yep, Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Gina Mazzarelli,
Yes.
Robert DePalma,
Yes,
Janelle, oh, I'm sorry, Teresa Bills.
Yes.
okay, thank you. Okay, next item is discuss the fire station completion. I just put that on there, so. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I'm just.
Oh.
It's allergy season, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I thought you said something.
Carry on.
That's okay, you can have an allergy. The next thing is the fire station. I just wanted to let everybody know that the completion date for the fire station is probably gonna be March now. They were delayed when it got started, so when I had the meeting with the state police from Lansing and the builder in Barry about a week and a half ago, that's when they said that it'll be done in March, so.
Well, it'd be nice to have it done by March 31st, so it can all be tied down.
To this year?
Fiscal year, yeah.
It would be nice, It would be nice.
Well, make it happen here, Bob. I mean, make it happen, Kevin.
Thank you.
And Kevin, I've already told Kevin, he's met the lieutenant that's gonna be at the detachment full-time. And, he's gonna set in on the next meeting that we have, cause they're gonna meet once a month as they get close now, to go over it. So I just wanted to let everybody know.
Thank you.
And then the, last item is discuss citizen rest,
There
oh,
was
rest
someone in
request.
here from
Alarm.
the alarm.
Jim.
Oh,
You know what, I am
I mean, it's not on
unprepared.
the agenda, but it's in the packet.
I'm unprepared. I would be struggling to get a third bid.
okay,
Honest to
so you
God.
wanna just table this till the next meeting?
Yeah, we'll have to.
Okay,
Table it.
okay.
Well, officially, it wasn't even really on the agenda.
We'll
It's
put it
just in
on.
the
To
packet.
clarify, I can get numerous third bids from mom and pop operations, but they're
Yeah.
not comparable groups.
Oh,
So, I'm getting referrals and some people aren't interested. And I suspect by next time I will have something.
When you went out there, did you get input from the fire department and,
We first
maybe
met
what
with the
their
state,
needs?
with the contractor he had called
Okay.
Sonatrol, right?
Right,
Yeah.
no, I don't mean that, when you went to the site that morning, the Tuesday morning that you went,
Oh.
were there other stakeholders there to have some buy-in to what you're looking at and thinking that we need to do?
Not at that time. I met
Okay.
with Bob and the representative, the same woman
Sure.
that came before. I have talked to the chief about it.
Okay.
So I have a little bit of info, but when we get a third bid up there,
Sure.
we'll get them, we'll get the fire department.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice too.
Okay. This next one
Did
is,
you bring
let's
these with you?
see if I still have the paper here, resolution request.
citizen request.
Yeah.
Do you have it?
Yes,
That's it
okay.
right there.
There it is. I got it just out of order, I think, that's all. Okay. This is a resolution request from a citizen group, they've been here a couple of times, and, they're basically pushing, for this, which we have as resolution numbered here, I don't know what our number would be, I guess ours would be 2024-13.
Yeah.
To ask for a constitutional, convention to take a look at it, and it's basically concern over the kind of runaway financing of that. I know this doesn't have any real, immediate impact, but they have been trying to get support from different legislators. I talked to Ruth about this, she thought it was a good thing to do. And so I asked the gentleman, are you here? He's not here today, I thought he would be, he was gonna show up. If he would give us this copy, and he did, because I meant to do it about a month ago, I forgot. But, I think it's kinda like apple pie and mother, it's a good thing to do the resolution on and support it. It's not, I'll be honest, it's not gonna have any kind of immediate effect, but they're trying to get enough communities and states to support it.
And there's nothing false about any of the statements.
Oh, it's, yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
no, sorry.
that, my motion would be that we adopt the resolution, 2024-0113 is submitted.
I will second that.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, okay. Take care of that as a housekeeping deal. Miscellaneous reports, first one's for the Holly Area Youth Assistant.
That would be Janelle.
Janelle, she's excused today, and then the Brandon Groveland Youth.
Basically, the 3 new referrals in September, Love and Logic is going on in October. 26 people were signed up for that. October 26th, they're doing a Brandon Township Park trick-or-treat walk through the Library of Trees with local businesses and things like that. That is on the 26th, I think from 11 to 1 or something. That's getting put on through the library. BGYA will be having a table there. They had a presence at the Witches Night as a fundraiser and made around $100. And then there's an opioid settlement money from, which company it was, or Rite Aid, or I'm not positive, but, so BGYA has been the recipient of quite a bit of money. It's around $25,000, And basically, it should be used for remediation of effects of substance abuse. So they kind of were struggling with how they spend it, but what they've decided is that they are going to make it available as like mini grants to the community, to school programs, et cetera, where people can submit what they have for ideas for how they think it should be spent, and maybe they have programs that BGYA doesn't know about, and then they would submit through this grant request. It's like an application for funds from this pot of money that needs to be spent on something to do with,
So like DARE used to be, you could use it for something like DARE used to be in
Yeah.
the schools.
yeah, exactly. And that is being facilitated by Matt Jenkins and Diane Sanford. They are the committee that is handling that. So they were really struggling with, you know, how do we allocate this money and so on, but, so that's it.
Thank you. Next is the planning commission, Jim, any?
You know what, it's a continuation of the battery ordinance, meetings and composition of it. As far as I remember in my notes, don't
That was
suggest
pretty much the whole
anything
meeting,
different.
yeah. Okay, the next one is, I think, the second or third,
It's
whatever
next
that,
Tuesday,
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday, the
Tuesday, yeah.
22nd.
and that'll be on the ordinance again. Okay, for supervisor, just look, oh, I'm sorry, Gia, I apologize.
No, that's all right. We did have a meeting last week. There were 2 requests for variances, one on a 42-acre parcel, the other one on a 7-acre parcel, oh, yeah, 7-acre combined parcel, and both were granted. So I will be really glad when we get our ordinance language cleaned up for ZBA for outbuildings that are in front of residences. Because one of them was only 7 feet of it is in, and that really could have been handled administratively, in my
For whatever it's
opinion.
worth, I don't know if everybody saw it, but our planner had a baby.
Did she? Oh,
Or
no,
maybe
did
girl,
she?
yeah, I think everybody's fine. Okay, for the supervisor's report, for those of you who don't know, at that special meeting, we finally signed the contract with Michigan State Police for 20 years. And that only took, I said, I think we've been working on it for like a year and a half, and then Janelle or somebody pulled it out, and said, you know, the first draft was 2021. That's how long it takes to get a contract through the state of Michigan. Okay, it's just very slow. But it's done, and we're happy with it, so that's done. Oakland County has a trade show that they do every year. The next one is October the 18th. I am gonna go there and man a table like I did last year. I did it with Danielle this year. Last year I said I'll do it myself. I was gonna have Jeff Dowling go with us, but he said he couldn't go, so I'll go myself. And we got a couple of hard boards
What
waiting
about
for it.
RZ?
Who?
What about
Tom's.
Tomsey? Sorry, Tomsey.
I don't think Tom's here. I think he's in Virginia that weekend. I think he said. And then, the other thing that was really good is originally I told you I talked to the Regional Development Authority in Detroit. They're the people that take inquiries from all over the country and the world for people that might wanna locate somewhere in the Detroit greater area. And, they were very interested when we talked to them about our property being on their listing, and they said, when you get all your zoning in place and everything, tell us and we'll put it in our system. Well, I was gonna wait till we finish the marketing part of it and do it, but in the meantime, Janelle and Danielle went to that class, and they had some representatives from a new department that they're setting up there, which is going to kick off in January. And that group specifically has some grant money available for projects like ours. You can compete for about 16 grand to get a breakdown of what they look for in parcels when they're looking for stuff developed for you, and then they have 2 separate grants for 100 grand each. One of them you can get to try and have the preliminary environmental studies and stuff done on your property, like soil borings and that. And the second one is a 100 grand grant that can go directly to an applicant that says, I am interested in your piece of property. Will you put together the preliminary evaluation for us? So that's very promising. I was going to give this to Damascus, because that's something I think you could follow up on. But the fellow I met with the other day called me and said, I haven't got it yet, and I thought, well, yeah, after the first of the year either. But I gave him, his Matt's son's name and phone number, so he's gonna call Justin and take care of it. So that's another opportunity, and then there's a meeting coming up in a few days with Danielle and I and her husband and the folks over at Oakland County Economic Development to see if we can find some way to get some dollars to do some work on our property as well. So there's the NASCAS is gonna look for some stuff. This regional development authorities got money to look to provide if we can come up with a good case, and I think we can, especially since we're the last mega site in Oakland County. And then the economic development people at the county seem to think there's some additional grants we might be able to go after. So there's gonna be a lot of opportunity to get some money to help get the project rolling, I think. That's basically what all this boils down to. So that's pretty much what I had for the supervisor's report. Janelle is excused tonight.
Oh, I actually
Oh,
have her
I'm
notes.
sorry. Okay, that's right, you told me before we started.
It's
I
okay.
apologize.
So, starting off with elections, early voting dates are going to be October 26th through November 3rd. So you guys can come in and take advantage of those days, even with your absentee voter ballots. We did actually receive a grant for $10,000 that we can use towards elections. So that was like a big win for us. We don't know how we're gonna apply it yet, but we are looking forward to being able to use that. In regards to our ballot box, we did actually go ahead and get a camera for the building. However, it is not working properly, and because there's so much activity, it drains the battery like within a couple days. So
Because every time a car goes out of the parking lot, it goes by and trips it out.
correct, and we do have a lot of visitors using trails and things, so we actually had to close the ballot box. And now we are going back to the front. As an election worker and administrator, I find that we not having a usable ballot box and camera is starting to get annoying, to say the least. Not
Is
to
that why all
mention,
the
I'm
ballots
eventually
were in
gonna
my
have
Dropbox?
deadlines I have to meet, so
That's why all the ballots were back in my Dropbox.
that's why all the
this morning.
ballots are back in your box, yeah. So if we could possibly get a third person, if that's what we need, if you need me to reach out to people, however I need to help to get that camera moving, I would really like to have it. I know that we might not have elections next year, but we do have a deadline next year to have that functioning.
What is the problem? We haven't the third bid yet, is that it?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep, we need a third bid.
All
So
right.
we're back to square one. So the box is actually closed. We have the sign out into the front.
Can you proceed to get a third bid so we can get it done?
Yeah, whatever I need to do.
I'm good with
I
that.
will help.
Everybody? Yeah,
Just tell me what the
let's get it done.
qualifications and I will find out what I can do.
Find out who Jim's already
Yeah.
contacted, so you don't
Definitely.
double, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
CDBG. There was a grant for around $7,500. Public hearing is next month. Please let me know if there's something you'd like me to look into as an option. Right now, looking at Haven or the fire department. Yeah, and then Bob's retirement party is Tuesday, November 19th from 4 to 8 p.m. at River Rock, and the public is welcome. And that's all I have.
We'll be blasting that out there.
Yes.
on all media.
I deserve today.
Can you be
Yeah.
there, Bob?
Yeah, I just heard today, Janelle
Okay.
told me this.
Yep.
morning.
We'll get it.
Definitely.
We'll get it done.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
All right, treasurer?
Okay,
Treasurer,
so the assessors have been here in the office and around the township doing some field maintenance. Probably they will be for the next week or two as well. Summer taxes, if they're not paid yet, they are late, but they can still be paid in the office here through February 14th. And then I did wanna mention that, $4,700 came in, from the DNR, fire capacity grant. Stacy Millar, Sergeant Millar helped, well, she spearheaded that one, got the paperwork in, and so she and I submitted all of it. And that came in, a few weeks ago, but, you know, it's worth noting. It was a matching grant and it covered 2 sets of fire gear. So there's there's a couple other grants that Stacy has applied for that are in the hopper, waiting to find out, on whether or not they've been approved, et cetera. And the PAR plan does have education money available for firefighters or other training for, officials. So that's something that if you want to discuss further, I can help look into that as well.
And we did just get that reminder from the conference that we went to from Northwood
Yep.
about what they have available, so that might be good to look at.
Yep.
Spending.
And I'm happy to help with, anything I can in that department. And that's pretty much it from the treasurer's office.
Okay, I just have one other thing I thought I'd mention, because I know people are always wondering about the Public Act 233, and I don't know if everybody got through their mail today, I had a lot, but they did do another release from the Michigan Township Insight magazine that says October 17th is that training session
Yeah.
that I talked about,
Yeah.
which deals with some of the preliminary siting requirements for it, but of interest, I thought, was when you read this information, again, there's nothing new in here that I haven't already seen umpteen times as we've gone through this process. The only difference is they actually published a preliminary checklist.
Did you
which,
click on that?
yeah, it's that long.
Yeah.
It looks like a super ballot, doesn't
Their
it?
application is 86 pages long.
I know, but it still doesn't, the problem is, I think it does not deal with the essence of the problem, which is the removal of the local municipality to really have some input in it. It's just a big checklist they go through when they're looking for it. I didn't think there was really a lot of substance and meat in that. I
Right.
think it was generated to make it look like, see what we did. And I'm sure that's gonna get covered in this
You
meeting. but
changed
people
your
are-
language to bullet points instead of.
Exactly.
Sure. So I am gonna register, Jim, and, well, I can register everyone.
Yeah.
If you cannot attend, then you at least have access to the
Yeah.
recording,
Right.
right?
Because we're kind of assuming the next week's planning commission will be the what I think they believe is the final version of the ordinance. If that happens, it probably comes to the planning commission for the November meeting, or to the township board for the November meeting. So I just thought it was interesting reading this late in the afternoon, that there's nothing really new on it.
Well, I'll see, we'll watch the thing on Thursday, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, that concludes the agenda for today. So I'd like to open the board to public comment. If anybody wants to make any public comment, now's the opportunity. Anybody wants to say, yeah, Dave?
When's your retirement party start?
4 o'clock, I think she said,
4.
4 o'clock.
4 to 8. There will be food, and I believe it's cash bar.
What?
We can't provide that. But it's open house style.
Maybe it's easier for that. That's fine.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Thanks.
Seeing none, I move that we adjourn and reconvene for the fire board. Is there a second? No?
I'll second it.
You got it, okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and we're all reconvened for the fire board meeting. Chief Williams, it's your meeting.
Okay, thanks for hearing me. First of all, we'll talk about the apparatus. Alpha 487 and 483 both had their brakes go out on them last week.
I bet that's an interesting experience on a loaded fire truck.
Yeah. It seems they go out way too fast, but 483 had 18,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
And the back brakes went out already. So the back brakes last 3 times longer than the front, so for them to go out, pretty odd. And the warranty's only good for 12,000 miles, so. Went just outside of that. We did get ladder one back from Apollo for the same drifting issue as they had last year. So that part's fixed, but
But all the stanchions on it don't work, right?
yeah, and we got the price of $18,000 for it, so we decided to go get it. And Kevin offered to help us do that, and he has a guy that rebuilds cylinders, so we can
Oh, I
get
didn't
it
think
done
of that.
for
If you
a
rebuild
lot
tractor
cheaper
cylinders,
than that.
probably the same thing on that.
Cylinders a cylinder.
Except I'll bet any money the seals are 3 times as much on the
But
fire
yeah,
truck.
probably, same one, but.
Painted orange or something, right?
Then Justin had West Shore come out and go through all of our trucks to work us up an estimate for fixing everything that's wrong with them. West Shore is the place where we originally got
Cyrus from, I think, wasn't it?
the, well, West Shore does do the tornado sirens,
Cyrus, yeah.
but that's who we got engine 1 and engine 2 from,
Oh, okay.
so they're pretty reputable. And they also do, the air trailer that we got from the DNR grant. They're the ones who service that, so we'll be taking that out there shortly too, as soon as they can get it in. Justin has the mule all torn apart and getting it powder coated right now and gotten a bunch of the parts in that were broken.
Out of curiosity, where do you take it to get powder coating on it?
So I'm gonna do the sandblasting on it, cause none of the places do in-house, stripping anymore apparently.
You're kidding me.
No, so the cheapest quote I could find, that seemed like a reputable company was H&H in, Fenton, I believe they were. There's a couple places around.
There's a guy I've been using for 30 years. He's just phenomenal. He does great work and his prices are real good, and he still sandblasts and stuff because I take it to him, but he's over in Sterling Heights kind of area.
Okay, I'll get his name from you
Yeah,
after.
it's Bill at QC Coating. That's who it is. I've got the phone number on my cell phone. I can get it for you later.
Okay, yeah.
But he's very reputable, does excellent work, and he's always been great on price. And
I thought your guy was in Fenton, that's what I told him.
no, no, he's that way. He's on
the guy in
23 Mile Road that way. Okay.
Cool. We've gotten the base, the skid unit for the brush truck that we got from the DNR. We've got that built and we're working on getting it in and the tank mounted on it and replumbed, so that should be done pretty soon. Justin's also found a vehicle maintenance tracking program for free. Should serve all our needs and
Price is right.
get a, yeah. Seems, what he showed me, it seems pretty simple and easy to use, and it will do exactly what we want it to.
Because what comes up with automatic reminders on some stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. And then personnel, we have Chase Kalwich has completed his EMT and is moving in from cadet to full paid on call fill-in status.
Good.
And Friday he'll be tested out to begin working shifts. He's done all this extra ride time and he's done quite well. I would request that I'd like to hire Caleb Fairless. We currently have him enrolled in Lapeer County Fire Academy. Just kind of preemptively because they started before we could get him in. He's super excited about it and it's kind of refreshing to have his energy around.
Does he get hired as a cadet right now?
Right now, since he's 18, we could do it either way, a cadet or paid on call
What's your
until he gets. Because he would just be moved directly over from then. So we could hire him as a cadet until he completes his fire class.
I'm just asking, is that what you want us to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be perfect.
John, Chief, is there an expectation that he's gonna, stay with Groveland after Fire Academy is finished for a certain amount of time? Is that?
Yeah, I don't have a contract or anything with him. There is another thing we need to talk about for the further education on the medical side with
Okay.
other people, but yeah, I think he'll stay around.
I'm
to
not
go
aware,
further.
do we have anything currently in existence that says if we're gonna pay for something, we're gonna?
No, we do not. We used to, but it was never enforced and it just kind of went by the wayside and then we're not doing anything anymore. So that's where we're at right now. And now we're feeling the repercussion of it.
Mhm. So is that something that you're thinking about putting into place?
Yeah, Jeff and I have been talking about it. He's looking into it.
Okay.
Some other people do. I know Brandon does it, but they do it really funny. They make them pay for it up front and then they reimburse them through time, but that's pretty hard for people to do.
Yeah.
Especially, the younger people and people who are working to come up with, $6,000 to go to medic classes.
Are we paying this cadet training right now?
Right now we are, I think, what was the class? Yeah, $650. So I'll definitely get that out of him.
But, yeah, reciprocity's been a big concern. So, yeah, I'd like to see that work on expeditiously.
I agree. Okay,
Well, I'll make a motion that we hire Caleb Fairless as a cadet,
pending his
pending his background
background
check.
check, yeah.
But they still have to get the shots and stuff too.
No, we don't do that anymore.
Oh,
Good,
okay.
thank you.
Yeah, it's not enforced anymore.
So I'll make a motion that we hire Caleb Fairless as a cadet pending his background check.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Jim, okay, any questions or comments from the board? Laura, take a roll call.
Gina Marzarello,
Yes.
Jim Christopher,
Yes.
Robert DePalma,
Yes.
Teresa Bills.
Yes.
All right. Anything else, John?
Nope, that's on that one. Sergeant Burdess and Jones, the certified ACLS and PALS instructor today. Today I was in their, finalized their PALS class, so now they'll be ready to go to teach here. And we're kind of working in collaboration with Springfield on their, classes as well.
Okay,
Wonderful.
good.
It's a lot easier to put it on for a larger group of people than it is for one or two. It's not cost effective at all. I have been, we set a date up for fire instructor 1 for me and Chief Covey, and Jeremy Watson needs it, and sort of a bunch of other firefighters, so we have that set up for the beginning of the year.
Does that count towards getting the credentials as a certified trainer for you as a chief?
Yes,
Okay.
that was the only thing I was missing.
Right, that's what I was like, okay.
Where does that take place?
I don't think we've really decided. It'll either be Springfield or,
Oh, but that's
Groveland.
local?
yeah.
Okay.
As you all know, we had one of our oldest employees got injured at home, unfortunately. Her dogs jumped on her and knocked her down.
She's such a tiny thing.
Oh, I know. The wind could blow her over. But, they did surgery on her, and
She's okay?
we've been keeping in contact with her, and she's doing great. She broke her hip and fractured a couple ribs, so.
Is that why she wasn't in the photo? Because she was not in the photo in the Citizen, the one that's
Oh,
a
for the
tribute
whole
to.
fire department?
Yeah, and she was,
Yeah. That was one of her trip days,
okay.
cause she goes, gambling.
Well, my husband and I were looking at that and he said, why isn't Sandy Garris in this photo? She's, no, is she okay? I'm like, I don't think so. But then hearing this, and so, okay, well,
It's weird not to have her around, she's there every day
Yeah.
for 2 hours. So, she's doing well.
That's good.
Which one is that? Community risk reduction. Justin and a couple of the other firefighters are working at addressing driveways that are over 1,000 feet long, so we can better.
Going into.
Yeah, when we get called to a fire there, cause all we carry is 1,000 feet, 1,000 feet of hose on the truck. And so what we do is if we get a confirmed fire, we drop a hose at the road and drive the truck up, so the other truck
You
can
still
sit.
might not be there, right?
Yeah, so, yeah, the other truck can sit at the road and pump water up to us, so if we know it's over 1,000 feet, we'll mark off what it needs to be and then stop at that point and lay in, and the other truck can back in and lay back out. So we can get a good water supply. Sergeant Millar's been doing awesome on her inspections, and she's gotten several of the commercial businesses to get the Knox boxes that they've always been lacking. I mean, they're long time businesses that haven't had them, so she's doing very well on that. We'd like to request to adopt the 2024 IFC in its entirety, and what it will
What's
do.
the acronym IFC stand for?
International Fire Code.
Okay.
And it has a lot of verbiage in there about battery storage facilities and car charging ports and the battery cars. Stacy also has a bunch of other appendages she would like to adopt.
NFPA 855, that has to do with EV. NFPA 1. NFPA 69, that's specifically for explosions. NFPA 20 is pumps. NFPA 24 is water supply. NFP 101 is life safety. And NFPA 1141 has to do with water supply for protection for wild and urban rural areas.
Okay.
We would like to include all the annexes with those NFPA standards. And I don't know what wording we would wanna use to be able to update them automatically as the new codes come out.
We generally adopt them that way, automatically adopted for whatever the new code is.
So the state of Michigan, we usually do like the IFC as part of the ICC, and the state of Michigan is way behind. So like the plumbing code, the electrical code, building code, I think they're still on like 2015 guidelines, and they update every 3 years, but they haven't been approved by the state of Michigan yet. So if we just update them that way, you're gonna be quite a few years behind.
Well, I guess I'm asking, what do most people do then for those? Cause I thought they typically adopt them at the same time everywhere.
We updated the fire aspect of it with ISO last year, the 2018. And they put new guidelines out every 3 years-ish.
Well, isn't that the same thing you said happened? Did I misunderstand what you said? That these other codes typically get adjusted about every 3 years anyway. So I'm asking you, normally we would just say we adopt whatever the most current code is. So
Usually the current
NFP
code-
gets changed, it automatically gets included in whatever the new one would be. What is it what are you asking us
When
to
you
do?
approve it, it's usually the ones that have been approved by the state. Is that the best way to explain it? The state, we are many years additions ahead of the state of Michigan.
Right.
They're about
Yeah.
10 years behind.
And especially with all the battery powered verbiage in there that pertains to all these facilities and
Okay, so
battery cars.
I'm guessing the
shipment
reason for
is-
doing it to the state one is because there's a consistency in how it's done. How would we know when these other ones get updated all the time then? That's what I'm asking. What is the language we need to put in if you want it updated more frequently than that?
Updated to the
How do
most
we get that?
current edition.
Right, to the most current edition, whether the state of Michigan's passed it or not.
Yeah, most of them is, the fire stuff is about every 3 years-ish. I mean, I've got the current edition, we'll have to get the books for them. One of them, that 1141, the most current edition is 2022.
Okay, so you're saying they get adopted and regulated and updated periodically more than the state actually does it?
Yes.
So you want the language we approve to adopt them as the most current standard, period? Okay, that's what I was getting at. Okay.
Yeah, then that's gonna be what all the things have to adhere to.
Yeah. That's fine. I just needed to understand what it is you want.
I didn't know how the wording needed to be put in there to be
Yeah.
ordinance approved.
Do you feel good to make the motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, then I'd make a motion that this board accept the request to adopt 2024 IFC in its entirety, NFPA 855, 1, 69, 20, 24, 101, and is it 301?
1141.
1141. And to maintain at current code as it evolves,
Along
As
with all
it's
the
approved.
annexes.
along with all the annexes. Thank you.
All right. Does that sound good to you? Okay, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments from the board? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. It's a little painful, but we got through it.
Yeah, that was highly recommended at that, workshop that we went to. And that, fire chief out in Brighton was like, you need to make sure that you are at the 2024 IFC
Yeah.
standards.
And I have several family members who were affected by the latest hurricane, and the most damage aside, the battery cars that they have, the saltwater,
But that place has
they
a-
caught them on, I mean, houses were burnt to the ground because the car was in the garage. So,
Yeah, I think that's actually our bigger concern than the battery facility is, cause it's inside your house. And
right. Luckily, yeah, everything's okay.
Okay.
All
Hey,
right.
John, go ahead.
I'm currently reviewing the Oakland County Hazard Mitigation Plan for 2025. It's really exciting read. It's 1,000 pages, so I guess.
It's great for insomnia.
Yeah. That, they have to have that done by February 25. They just wanna make sure that it aligns with everything that we have and, you know, it doesn't take away any of our rights in the case of emergencies. EMS, we've completed our 2025 letter of compliance with the county. It's just a question of our personnel, their credentials, and our equipment and serial numbers of everything, so it's kind of a little job to do, but we are done with that for this year. The state and counties put out a notice of the IV shortage of saline fluids because of the Baxter facility that went out of production in the Carolinas due to the hurricane. So right now we're all set. Our medical suppliers guaranteed us that we have enough stock for what we need, and we do a 1-to-1 exchange with the hospitals in Oakland County. We have an agreement
And they
through
still
Med
been able to
Control.
do that, right?
So, yeah. We're pretty good there. Sean Dobbs is doing excellent with his QA, and he's been meeting with the county regularly to keep up on it and get where he needs to be. But yeah, it's going quite well.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
We have another one of our paramedics, Naomi Bassfish. She's an IC flight medic, and she has scheduled to do a couple PHTLS classes. It's a pre-hospital trauma life support class. It's a lengthy class, and we get a lot of credits for it. It's a very good class, so we're going to be doing that in collaboration with Springfield and us and Knoxville as well. We've gotten the information for the Medicaid, Medicare report, the Medicaid Ground Ambulance Data Collection Survey. It's quite a lengthy packet with a lot of information on it, so it's not a quick thing. But we were required to do it in March, but it was never done. So we're subject to a 10% fine if they so choose. From what I've heard, nobody's gotten the letter yet or gotten the fine. And I don't want to be the first, so.
And we're not the only ones that haven't done it, I take it.
We're working diligently on it.
Is this one that Kim at Star Ambulance, I think she sent something up, but
Yes.
I thought this wasn't due until March of 2025. And she was like, well, you don't wanna wait till the last minute because it's, a lot of information you have to compile. But, so it's,
And we have to do this to Bill.
yeah,
Yes.
like you don't get to pick and choose.
Yeah, it's
You have to
way
do it.
overboard. What I understand what they're trying to do, but it's just quite extensive. And it's gonna have to go through me, and it's gonna have to go through billing, and then it's gonna have to go through you and our accountant and everything to get certified, so it's quite a job. Operations, we hosted a work session at Station 2 and rebuilt the wall that was damaged over there, so it's actually straight now and supported and sealed up. So we're
Always
making
better when the
progress
fire
on it.
station doesn't look like it's burning down.
Yeah, yeah, getting closer. Station 2 had 3 broken garage doors. We had Pioneer door out, and they fixed 2 of them.
Yes,
And
so
they
they were
just-
up today, they corrected issues with 2 of them, the third one, the ladder, truck door, entry door, the motor is on its way out. It works, but the contacts in the motor are kind of welding themselves periodically and then releasing, so it's something that'll need to get addressed eventually. He's working up a quote for that one, along with a couple other quotes for, phasing those out as they do get older.
And going to the jack shaft.
He said there was a couple jack shaft options available, they're not as readily available, due to the size of the garage doors. Only a couple have the soft open and close, which are the only ones that you can use on commercial doors like that, or else they are prone to slamming and wearing out parts. So, he's gonna work up the quote for the couple openers, and I'm gonna keep in contact with them, and if we wanna work up the quote for jack shaft ones and stuff, we can do that as well.
The jack shaft ones tend to last longer or something?
Yeah, yeah, a lot longer.
Okay.
The Station 2 backup generator, it hasn't worked in like 2 years. Unless you go out, I don't think it works at all now.
Didn't it work when it went?
They were kind of jumping things around on it and,
Manually starting it and
yeah,
manually shutting it off.
bypassing the
Will it work if you manually start?
valves and everything.
Last time we were part of it, it worked.
Last time I did.
Yeah.
He has all the solenoids unplugged on it now.
Oh, does he?
The American generators, yeah, I looked at it the
Hook
other
a bike up to it or something.
day. American Generators gave us a quote of $3,700 for replacing the parts that they estimated need to be
Yeah,
replaced.
you're not saying the whole generator's bad, but it needs some parts. that
Right.
makes it right.
Yeah.
John, do you need another vendor?
I would love another vendor.
Okay, I'll email it to you in a few minutes.
Okay.
What's the size of that generator?
30 kVA. It had to be that big because the fire suppression well is a 3-phase well, so we had to have a huge one. It's way bigger than the building actually is, but that's what we needed for the well.
Well, that's important, because if you can't get the well, you can't fill the tanker up, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's
That's not
perfect right in the middle of the township.
We're talking about.
Well, the reason I asked is because obviously it's better to fix it than purchase a new
Yeah.
one,
Mhm.
you know.
And then we got some special deal on that when we bought it originally, didn't we? Some guy had it, but was barely used, and we got it for a really cheap price or something.
Yeah, I can't remember his name now.
Yeah. Okay.
We did something like that. We had a new modem installed at Station 1. It was quite old, and we were dropping internet nonstop, so we've put that in, and it seems to have fixed the problem, and it's working great now. We have Sean working on our website to get that back up and running again. It was, that one was hacked.
They've
That
had
address.
I know Jeff had several iterations of it, and it had been hacked by the Russian hackers. They like to hack onto it.
Fire department?
Yeah. Well, it's for like ransom, I think, and stuff, and they spam it out. I was looking at doing a separate webpage through Wix. I've had luck with a Wix webpage building in the past. The primary focus, of course, is to get burn permits back online. I know that's probably one of the most frequent phone calls we get at the station is, burn permits.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people are paying at Groveland Township in Indiana.
I've heard about that, yeah. I told the guy he has to go to Indiana, so he at least, do a fire, so
Yeah.
money well spent.
Yeah.
But we have the ability to do that and make it a better track if we do it online as well. I think we'd like to have an independent website that we can hyperlink to the Groveland webpage. Should be pretty easy to integrate.
The goal has been to have an integrated website,
Okay.
since we contracted with the company 2 years ago, and
Okay.
it's still,
No.
so if
Do
you
we
can.
still want to integrate those?
Well, there is a fire tab, like, there is a fire, you
Right,
know, you
but-
can click on it, but it's not
Right.
fully
There-
developed,
Right,
obviously.
it's not, and here's the thing, we have so many moving pieces around here that people don't necessarily go to the right Groveland Township site
Right.
for accurate information. So if we can put that under one roof, that eliminates some of those possibilities.
Okay. I guess we have some concern too about like access to what we can manipulate on our end of it.
Right.
I think we like to have some type of autonomy with that.
Oh, no, I get that part,
Okay.
but put a fire under the people who were supposed to do this in the first place.
Right.
You know, because you should be on the Groveland Township website, they should have access to you guys for
Right.
whatever you have to offer.
Okay.
So explain this hyperlink, what is that?
Well, essentially the hyperlink is you have the fire tab, right? And when people click on that tab, it would essentially just go to our webpage.
Right.
I mean, it can be integrated that way, and we still have technically a separate webpage with a different URL, but it's still fully accessible from your webpage.
And then who does the maintenance?
It would be me. Essentially, I'm kind of heading up, because we haven't had them for years now.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and I have rudimentary experience with web pages in the past. I have done minimal work on a current one. I didn't want to get too far because, well, we just need to discuss it. Nothing is online yet, everything's in its building phase, so whatever we want to do, as far as integration, we can have our own independent login, or I can log in through you guys, as far as being able to maintain the webpage. So.
I think that,
How would it work with
fire,
IT, right, is what I'm concerned about.
how to work with IT, right?
Correct.
Mm,
Cause they take care of the
yeah.
techie nuance
PC3,
stuff, right?
Right, and we kind of have a bigger breadth than just the burn permits, because we like to have a section for our employees. It would be password protected, where they can access training, they can access scheduling for training. We want to have information out there about our youth cadet program. I don't think a lot of people don't know we have a cadet program. And employment, I think if people have ready access to how to get employed here, it might help us as well. That's some of the things that we're thinking, so.
Yeah, and I think the idea behind it, integrating them, was that, some of the other municipalities around us are integrating. So you
Right.
go to one site and you can get all township, building, parks and rec, fire, whatever they have.
Right, you can click on a tab, and that's, yeah,
Exactly,
that's.
and so, but I see the needs of the fire department, and their accessing behind the scenes of their webpage is different than townships accessing behind the scenes of their webpage. And it may be the best decision to do a separate page and have a link on our page that just links to it. That may be the best. I mean, as far as cost wise, is it,
The preliminary costs that I have, would be, because we're not business, we're not selling anything, we don't have to worry about inventory or anything like that.
No, it's
So we'd have a
service.
real basic premium plan, which would be around $20 a month. Then about $25 a year to maintain the domain name, which I don't know if I'll be able to get back grovelandfire.org, but some variation of that. Something simple like that. And as far as if my webpage was to be separate from yours, from a technical standpoint, it wouldn't change the interface on your end. You'd still click that same fire tab, it would just go to our page.
Right.
And I can have, a Groveland Township link on the front of my webpage that links right back to Groveland Township.
I would want to make sure that you guys are covered under the same provisions that we get from IT Right, as far as when you talk about ransomware and things like that. We pay, we pay big money to Decker and IT Right, for those things, so you should be put us in a position that everybody is equally
Certainly.
protected.
Okay, I mean, then, I can talk with your IT as well and kind of see what direction they wanna go in as well. Like I said, nothing is so deep into it that we can't go a different direction.
Yeah. I would check with Decker Agency
Mhm.
on coverage for, that's the parkland, and
Mhm.
it's Decker is the
Insurance
the agent there, but that's who's going to cover, you know, like you say, hacking and all that stuff, for website.
And then IT, right, for the tech. Nicole.
It's really BC3, but we do.
Oh, right,
switch
I'm
from
sorry,
that.
you're right.
Right,
They changed their name.
will they cover as well for,
Or how do we make that happen?
and Shoemaker Technology, which is what we have in
Right.
Township
For the website.
for website. And so this is for tech support. You guys have computers, how many computers and things like that do you have? Like, you probably are gonna have to have that kind of coverage as well.
Mhm.
You probably already do somewhere, I'm asking around, like Janelle maybe would know. The VC3, which is formerly known as IT Right.
Right. There is a separate fire policy, but it's not, doesn't have as much as ours does.
Okay.
Right. 'Cause we have several station computers and the iPads for run reports. I don't know,
But none of them are connected to our server.
no,
Okay.
they're just regular.
So I don't, yeah, that's something we can talk about at a later date,
Okay,
okay?
a lot of details in the hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, moving on. We got the prints from Christopher, and they think most all the crews have reviewed them and they have their input on them. So there's quite a few things that we need in there, or that we could tweak before it gets to that point. So, and then,
John, what types of things, approximate costs, do you have any idea yet?
I have no idea on cost yet. I needed to discuss them with you.
Okay, I just sent the digital copy.
Okay, excellent.
minutes ago.
I'll send them out tomorrow then. Then we have, Senate Bill 834 was passed. It increases a firefighter death and disability from $25,000 to $50,000, which is pretty substantial. And I
It
mean,
comes from the state too.
let's hope we never use it,
Right.
but it's nice to know it's there.
Mhm.
It helps out quite a bit. Last month, for the month, we had 117 runs, which is a little bit, and I think most of them came from 75. We run out there quite a bit with the construction.
There are more accidents because of the way they got
Well,
it screwed up right now?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, you'd think there'd be more on Dixie because they increased traffic on it, but it really hasn't been the case.
I actually noticed the last couple of times I had to go down there, it seems to me like a lot of people now are so aware of the mess on I-75 that they've given up coming on Dixie and they're going wherever they're going
Way
some other way.
routes, yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
it's miserable anywhere you go.
Yes, and especially here, you just can't get from A to B, so just don't even go around it,
Mhm.
you know?
Township attractions, the Renaissance Festival has ended and everything went well. We
It
had
was great.
no issues, everything, Chip does such a better job than
Oh,
Kathy.
light years.
He has that pretty dialed in,
Yep.
so it's
And getting a
actually,
professional parking company, getting them to
Helped.
provide for that was the big key to fixing that huge mess in the first place. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think it dropped their attendance at all, it
No,
just
it was
made it
up a little
flow
bit, I
so
think,
much
again.
better. And then Chip's still talking about adding a second EMS first aid station there next year.
Yeah, we'll have to
So-
clarify with them because we gotta review the contract.
Yeah, well, the contract was up this year, next year will be revisited, so.
It seems to me the recollection was we raised it quite a bit this time, and they said yes before we barely got the price out on it.
Yeah, he just wanted a little bit of justification on the increase.
Which
Yeah,
makes
it was
me
like-
wonder what it is compared to having the ambulance companies do it.
Yeah, I know, like Star, if they were to do a special event, well, it's for one unit, It's rough, it's $200 an hour, which is what I just got for Tom Z for
Yeah,
the park there.
yeah. Okay.
So as long as it works out beneficial to both of us, it's great, but
It's
It
gotta
can't
make
be
sure it
one-sided.
works for Groveland.
right.
Right, okay.
Rotten Manor's up and running. They're conducting their own fire watch. Just, it's rough to come up with personnel to do it now. And actually, they hired Teddy, one of our,
Can they do that to meet the requirements with their own
They
people?
can,
They
as
don't
long
have
as
to
they-
have our fire personnel in it?
nope, they just
Oh.
have to have a dedicated person and they have to do their pre-event walkthrough and then their hourly walkthroughs and have the report submitted,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I'm sure how hard it is to get paramedics and EMTs, it's hard to get them to do the haunted house.
Yeah, especially because they're open so late.
Yeah.
It really deters a lot of people from doing that. So, yeah, it works out perfect because Teddy's there, he's doing, working security for them, so, and he's our person. Okay, and that's it for me.
Okay, any extra runs down here?
Your review, that's awesome.
Yeah, we only got one.
This was great,
It's-
very good.
It's extremely sporadic that we get them in, you know, sometimes we'll get 50 of them in a month, other times not a couple, and, he quit sending them out for a little while there, cause there was some issues with Mason, but we've redone this form, so it actually looks professional now instead of.
They do these up, and Alpena too,
Nice,
when
yeah,
we went,
nice.
and I had to take their rate in, they ended up with a follow-ups, that they sent to us for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really nice to get some feedback for us, and then, you know, we can go talk to the hospital about their end of it too. So it kinda,
Yeah, I'm kinda guessing that's why Alpena does it, because their ambulance service frankly out of town is fantastic. The hospital suck.
yeah, you know, same thing we get.
Yes, I know, same thing, I see how it happens now. They got you to the hospital, they did everything right, and then you just wait for 10 or 12 hours, so.
Yep, stick you in a waiting room and
Yep. Okay, is there anything else?
that is all for me.
Okay, not, any comments from the audience? I do wanna say, he in particular did a great job for the car show. We had 250 cars this year, that's a new record for us.
Wow.
And it was a beautiful day for the weather, and somehow, I have no idea how, because I gave them the right time that we were gonna have an MSP trooper there. And he showed up at 12:30, because that's when he thought we wanted him, instead of 9:30. But you did a great job with the ladder truck leading the procession down, and then he pulled in right to block the lanes, and that eliminated the people driving on the side of the road.
Oh, so
His
there's no
truck was
arguments this year?
Huh?
There was no arguments this year?
Yeah, one guy came up and said, hey, I'm almost out of gas, and I don't know what you told him, but I think it was the equivalent, should have filled up before you got here. So you did a great job on it, thanks, it worked, all in all, it went great, and the show was fantastic, and I appreciate it.
Excellent.
You're probably gonna be on the video when they get done splicing it together, Benny's gotta put it together with the drone footage my son shot, so that's it. Thank you, and if there are no other questions, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thanks. Hey, here's the